All right. Well, if you're ready to start, Pete, let's just talk a little bit, Peter, about this project and consider it joy and the story that you're trying to share. And perhaps we should take a few steps back and talk a little bit about how you got to the point of coming
Mhm.
up with Consider It Joy. So how about we start there?
Sure, yeah. So obviously, this last 12 months for most people has been challenging to say the least with COVID. In July last year, 2020, my wife was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer in her colon and other parts of her body in that area. And so we immediately started going through chemotherapy and just the rough journey that is. A lot of warning that this may not work, and we may find our journey to be going downhill. And so that brought up a lot of concerns and challenges for us as a family. But my wife, she was working at the time at the MCC here in Altona as the manager, and immediately, as soon as we kind of shared that we had this cancer journey going on, the 160 senior volunteers there just stepped up to care for us in immeasurable ways. In bringing food, we had donuts at our doors, fresh hot donuts, homemade. Regularly, we had people bringing us. Somebody even started putting signs on our yard with encouraging messages too. And then our church as well. We just felt warm and welcomed and cared for, and our small group started a meal train, which really helped us out. Even though Kristen, my wife, was doing fairly well through the treatments, all things considered, fairly well. Um, for me, being able to not have to care for all of the extra stuff with chemotherapy and COVID, she's not allowed to go out or do anything. She normally did the shopping. Now I have to do the shopping. Making meals, and so even even for something like a meal train, where just 2 days a week we would have meals brought, such a relief for me. And as we went through this journey, we spent 3 months with chemotherapy, and shortly thereafter, we were doing okay. They had set us up for radiation in December, so we went 6 weeks of radiation. And in between radiation and chemotherapy, we started our YouTube channel, which was uh, which came out of a desire to enter into people's homes. My wife is a very caring and compassionate person. She loves to be in people's lives and care for them. And now she wasn't allowed to do that. And so we thought, you know what? If we start a YouTube channel, at least we can get into their homes in some way, shape, or form. And we've always really enjoyed doing art and creative things. And we started doing some new creative things together, and it was kind of an expression of joy for ourselves to find something to focus on outside of our journey, but it was also a way to share that. And very shortly after that, we realized that the greatest way to gain joy in your life is to share it. And so as we continued to put these videos out, and we've been doing it nonstop every week since then, just because it's something that we really have found to be a blessing to us and to so many people around us. And so we continued to do that. We did surgery in March, and then within a month and a half after surgery, we found two large tumors in her liver, um, which that first week was pretty tough to hear. The first doctor that talked to us told us to get all of our stuff in order, which is a very difficult conversation for a 37-year-old couple to face. The second doctor, the actual surgeon, gave us much more positive news that there is a plan. It's not too far gone that she can't deal with it, and we're not in doing crazy weird things to try and make it work. She's comfortable with it, so my wife would be on the phone on the call right now, but she just had her treatment yesterday, and she's got attachments and stuff to her right now. So that's part of the journey that we face. So right after we got that news of the treatment, or of the cancer in her liver, um, we both just felt we needed to renew sharing the joy with people. And so that's when independently both of us kind of came up with the idea, hey, let's do some signs. And it started off with just the Consider Joy heart on the front, just to remind people to consider all of the joy that you have. And then on the back, just a big thank you to the people around us. And as we developed the idea, it became, you know what, we should really actually encourage people to practice what we've been experiencing. So hold on to the sign, take the joy, but then go share it with somebody else. And so that's really where this idea materialized from. And then, yeah, we just started putting some signs out. And since then, we've had people ask for signs. We've shared more signs in Steinbach. We've just kind of just followed the journey with it. So
Yeah, it's been interesting to see how over the last few weeks in Altona, you saw a sign here or there pop up, and then a few more signs, and then they started moving around town, and then a few more signs. What does it mean to you and your wife Kristen to see the community buying into this concept of focusing on joy and finding ways to share that with others?
yeah, for us, it's really rich. I remember sitting at my computer the like 2 or 3 days after we first put the first set of signs up, and I was just scrolling through the comments, and it was just I had a beaming smile on my face. Nobody's watching, but I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, my heart is filled. And in our journey, there have been numerous times where we felt very empty, and with our faith in God and with our expression of considerate joy, which for many people in the area will know where that reference comes from a verse in the Bible. Those things really just started to well up in us, and as we saw people be inspired and encouraged, um, just really lifted us up. And even in our journey, we know so much more that the more healthy we are mentally and emotionally, the better Kristen can fight the cancer in her body. And sometimes we don't realize that, but your mindset and where your heart is at gives you an incredible strength. And she's the strongest woman I know. But to inspire her heart, I have this saying that I share with a lot of the people I work with, that there's no way to add to your beauty except by inspiring your heart. And to me, that's kind of the statement here is, can we light that fire of joy, of positive thinking, of sharing with others, being a part of a community? Those things are so essential to what we believe, and even more so what we've learned and experienced in the last year. The community has been rich for us, and so many times we find ourselves saying, we've got to give it back. We've got to give it back.
Did it take you by surprise to see how quickly this took off and with such a meteoric rise almost like this?
Um, you know what? Yes and no. Yes, we weren't sure people would get on board with sharing it on social media. Uh, uh, but the reality for me is the way that we've experienced it and how overwhelming it has been with people reaching out to us and sharing their lives with us. We believed very quickly that it would encourage people's hearts. We didn't expect it to go where it did on social media, but we did expect it to touch people, and that was our hope, essentially, right?
So take us through the process, I guess, if you want to call it that now, Peter, for folks that are watching and listening to our conversation. How can they be a part of the Considerate Joy movement?
Yeah. So we actually posted this week on a different method for people to purchase signs. We've had numerous people ask if they could get their own signs. I'm not really a retailer or anything like that, so we've offered the design files on our website, as well as step-by-step instructions on how to get that done. You can also go to local printers in Altona, Winkler, wherever, and print. They can print off the files very quickly for people. Of course, it costs a little bit of money, but we personally felt the investment was far worth the few dollars that it took to make the signs. And so the files there, the instructions are there. People can help themselves and do that, and then people can also just share. Right? It's more than the signs. It's about sharing joy. And one of the things that I get to do as a living is encourage and inspire people just in general. And if this can inspire other people to share the joy that comes from them in a real way, not just looking for our signs, but from their heart, then mission accomplished. I mean, that's really what it's about, is sharing that joy.
So essentially, as I understand it, once you have your own sign and that sort of thing, you can take it to a person's home or a place of residence that has brought you joy or inspired or supported you for the year. Is that kind of the intent of where you're going?
Yeah, yeah. So we have an encouragement to people to sign the front of the sign where they put a little note or something and then drop it off, try and sneakily drop it off at somebody's yard and leave it and then watch for the reaction, right? Watch for their post on social media or whatever and then of course then them share it next and next. And for us, we did put a deadline sort of on it because we wanted the signs to end up in places of relevance. And so these signs in Altona will end up just across the way from Guards on 10th to encourage the seniors. We've been working with the volunteer coordinator there for that. And then we also, in Steinbeck, we have the signs ending up at the Bethesda Healing Gardens, which is right beside the hospital. And so the signs are going to end up there to encourage the medical staff and also the patients. And so those are the ideas behind it. So.
Now we're only kind of sharing a small part of you and Kristen's story,
Mhm.
and we did want to take the opportunity to just talk a little bit about some of the other ways that folks can connect with you and Kristen, particularly through that YouTube channel that you mentioned earlier. Maybe just tell us a bit more.
Yeah, so our YouTube channel is, again, it's art, but it's also telling our story, and we want to be intentional on both of those things. We have relied on our faith in God and in the Bible and in our church community and in MCC and in so many other people. And so with our YouTube channel, we love connecting with people. We have found such a blessing to share those stories and those creative videos with people because it's doing exactly the same thing as the signs is doing in encouraging and inspiring people. And so we would love people to engage more with those videos and to find the joy in their life. Um, to be honest, we are trying to find more ways to do creative things in our community as an organization, doing art classes and stuff through the summer. But COVID is creating the challenges that we all are experiencing. And so that's some ways that we're hoping to be able to do more in the community. And again, yeah, just engaging those ways, encouraging Kristen and I through comments and stuff, that really lights our hearts as well. And if our story can inspire people, then it's good. It's really, really good for us.